This is Adam Gorney with the Rival Signing Day Show, now joined by USC coach Lincoln Riley. And Lincoln, it's been already a busy offseason for you, addressing some defensive coach issues, bringing in Danton Lynn and Eric Henderson, definitely big additions. How important was it to bring them in, and also from a recruiting perspective, what they can do for you and have already done for you?
Yeah, it was definitely important. Obviously, we know that's the part of our program that we need to make the biggest jump in, and it started with bringing in the right people to lead that part of our program, and getting Coach Lynn and the job he's done in the NFL, his history there. Obviously, probably looked over the biggest turnaround in college football last year defensively at UCLA. Pretty remarkable, the job that they were able to do, and so he was was a natural choice for the position. Adding Eric Henderson from the Los Angeles Rams, leaving, being the defensive line coach there to become the defensive line coach at USC was a big deal. Pairing him with Sean New, I think we have the preeminent, defensive line coaching pairing in the country, and that obviously is, as you look at it from a recruit standpoint, from a roster standpoint, the defensive line is the area that you really say, all right, that's where we got to make the biggest jump. And how do you do that? Well, you start by having the best coaches and guys that people are dying to come play for and have them and be developed by. And we were able to do that. And so, yeah, you can certainly feel the momentum on the recruiting trail. These guys have a pedigree. These guys have a proven record of success. And I think, both guys in this class and looking ahead to future classes are pretty excited about being able to be developed by coaches of this caliber.
Joining the Big Ten next season, do you change your recruiting strategy at all? Is there any altering? I've talked to some coaches that are going to the SEC who said we need to get bigger up front on both lines. Does it change for you, or do you take what you're going to do to the Big Ten now?
Well, we needed to get bigger anyway. That's just part of our natural progression here. Taking this thing over 2 years ago when it was a little bit down and trying to build this thing back up into being the national championship contender that it usually has been throughout history. And so we're just on our climb right now. We've made a lot of progress. We've done some really cool things in the first couple of years, but there's certainly a lot more to go. And so I think in some ways we would be addressing these issues and continuing to build this roster and continuing to build the trenches on both sides of the ball, regardless if we were going into the Big Ten or not. But certainly, it highlights it with going in, some of the competition that you're going to face, the great matchups it's going to create. And so hopefully we can continue to climb, and we're certainly looking forward to the matchups being here next year.
15 of 22, I believe, signees from out of state. Do you want to go more national? Do you have to go to certain regions for certain prospects or certain position groups, or did it just kind of fall that way for you this year?
It just felt that way. We don't get too caught up on where it's at. USC is a national brand, and for us, it's about finding the right guys, the right fits. With a place like this that has the football history and the football standard that we have here, combined with the academics here, which are elite, you've got to find the right fits. You got to find guys that are about being great in all areas of their life. And wherever we've got to go to do that, that's fine. Now, we certainly want to continue to do a great job in this state. But one of our, as we look back over the past several years, the history of this, when we got here, we felt like, the definition of recruiting a state well, you got to really look at that, right? Is it the number of guys that you sign, or is it the quality of guys that you sign, and then their production when they get to that university? And so we know it's important to do great in the state of California, but we've got to make sure it's the right guys. And we've tried to stay focused on that within the state, and then being willing to go anywhere that we need to go to bring in the best USC Trojans possible.
When you got to USC, a lot of guys followed, that's not a surprise. Portal, how are you going to kind of look at it moving forward? What's the balance between high school and portal? Is it as needed, or is it half and half, or everyone seems to be trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I think we're in a little different situation than we were 2 years ago. And we felt like coming in here, the right thing to do in the beginning was to really go after the portal, to try to be competitive in the first couple of years. And we knew it was going to take, we were going to have to really get pretty aggressive there to do that. And we succeeded there. We've been competitive. We've put ourselves in some great situations. We probably won a few more the first year than you could argue maybe than we should have. I don't know that we were necessarily a playoff caliber team, and we came within one quarter of going to it. Probably overachieved a little bit that first year. This year, we felt like we lost a couple there, especially in the middle of the year at home, that we felt like we shouldn't have lost. But we've been in just a lot of close games these first few years. And it's been great to be competitive and kind of be back in the mix. But obviously, we came here to do much more than just be competitive. And so looking forward for us, we certainly want to be much less in the portal. We want to be much more about bringing guys in from high school, developing them so that we have multiple years with these guys. Because I do feel like with the staff that we have in place right now, we can develop with the best of them. And the people that come here and that stay here are going to get better. They are going to climb in their careers, and they're going to be developed by some of the best. And so, but to do that, you have to have guys that are willing to do it, and you have to set up your recruiting model and your evaluation model that way. So I'm not saying that we won't, look into the portal here and there, but we certainly want to lean more towards these younger guys, bringing them in and getting a full-term development with the majority of our players.
Last question is on Caleb Williams. I don't think anybody would argue if he goes number one, definitely has the right to do that. But how much are you itching that he could work with Cliff Kingsbury again at Washington at number 2?
It would be great. Just and some of that just my comfort zone with Cliff and knowing the kind of coach he is, the kind of person that he is, that would be fantastic. But I also know there's a lot of other great people and great coaches in that league. And so I think at the end of the day, my biggest hope for him is he ends up in a great situation where he can be developed. He's still very young in his career. He's improved so much in the last few years, but he's still got a lot to go, which is so exciting for anybody that's thinking about drafting him. But you got to have the right players around you. You have to be in the right system. You have to have the right kind of coaches. I mean, it takes all that to work. And so as we've seen, the situation in NFL that you go into can change everything. I mean, look at some of the situations like a Bryce Young went into versus, one like that Patrick went into several years ago with the Chiefs. I mean, very, very different. And so certainly hoping that Caleb can land in a great one.
That's USC coach Lincoln Riley. Lincoln, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you.